My name is Coco. Drum roll, please. This is Dear Daughter.
Hi, we're back. I'm Namilanta Combo, and this is season 2 of Dear Daughter, my podcast that I'm making with the BBC World Service.
Dear daughter.
Dear daughter.
My dear daughter.
Dear daughter.
So, what do you think Dear Daughter is about? Guess. Guess. No? No? Daughters!
I started off writing letters to my daughter Coco. There's things I wanted her to know about me, about life. So I also asked my friends and family to write letters to her too. And then I applied to the BBC's first international podcast competition to see if other people were interested in writing and sharing letters of advice to all our daughters. And they really were. I had such a good time on the podcast last season. I spoke to some incredible people, had some amazing stories. I laughed and I cried. And I got some really fantastic advice for me to pass on to my daughter, but also for daughters everywhere.
I'm writing to you about sex. There are things I need you to know.
Don't shave your eyebrows, don't wax them or bleach them blonde.
Do not be afraid to be yourself. You are amazing and do what makes you happy.
You're so much more than the color of your skin, the features of your face and body, the social class you come from, and who you marry. Those do not define you.
Keep your light shine and soar like an eagle.
Always wipe front to back. So that...
Since last season finished, we've been busy and so have our guests. Remember Emma from episode 2 who told us about her eyebrows? She's just had a baby. And Tatiana from episode 9 who talked about how important it was to be true to yourself. Well, she's following her dreams of getting into podcasting herself. And Coco? Well, she's 6 now and living her best life. And we won some awards. A few months ago at the British Podcast Awards, we won Best Family Podcast and then Podcast of the Year.
The winner is Dear Daughter.
Hi, Namilanta, can you hear me?
I'm going to say a few words. So you buy the microphone.
That's amazing.
So now we're back with more advice, more stories, and more of your letters. We'll hear stories from every stage of parenthood, from those hazy newborn days to advice for a child leaving home. Real talk about women and money, parents telling us about how they dealt with some of the worst things that can ever happen to a family, and what to do when you realize you're turning into your mum. We've got letters from my family and friends, and from all over the world. So, without further ado, let's go. Episode 1. My Dad, Your Dad. One of the nicest things about making this second series is that I've had so many letters from people who loved the first one, including Marian, who wrote in with a really beautiful letter about the bond between her daughter and her husband, and how it's made her think about her relationship with her own dad. So Marian, this is an honor for me because you're my first guest back for season 2, which we've just started recording for. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to do this.
So how did you hear about the podcast anyway?
So I was listening to the BBC World News, as I do very often, and they mentioned Dear Daughter. And the moment I heard those 2 words, it spoke to me. So I quickly looked it up and cried a lot. So thank you.
Well,
I don't usually cry, but oh my God, why?
Are you not a crier?
I'm not really, but it was so beautifully made. you know, like the way
Oh, thank you.
it was just told so beautifully and like really touched me.
Oh, thank you very much. And so, literally, where are you now? What part of the world are you in?
I'm in Moldova, in the center of the capital, Chisinau, in a co-working space where I do most of my work.
Are you from Moldova?
I'm not from Moldova. I'm from Estonia, which is a bit more north from here, much colder place than this.
Marion moved to Moldova to be with her husband. We'll hear more about him later. They have a son and a daughter. How old is your daughter now?
My daughter just turned 2 this weekend.
Oh, wow. What did you do for her birthday, her second birthday?
We got her a little toy, but my main gift for her was a whole day with me. And I just wanted to do everything she would love doing. And I know that she really misses me often. And so I just wanted to be with her. We took it really easy. I baked her muffins and we went to a park and snuggled a lot.
That
It
is
was
such
wonderful.
a good idea.
And I was thinking that I can organize a party anytime, but her birthday is the day I should just be with her.
Which is a really good time to now talk about the letter that you wrote to your daughter. Why did you feel that you needed to write it?
This has a long story, I guess, behind. I mean, this is like an outburst of a lot of things. So maybe I can tell you my story. So I was born in the Soviet Union, in a very typical Soviet-built district in the capital of Estonia, Tallinn. Rows of block of flats and men smoking in balconies and women hanging laundry on racks behind houses. But at the same time, exciting place because it was time for revolution. There was a sense of freedom in the air because in 1991, we gained independence from the Soviet Union. So my parents, they were like childhood sweethearts. My father saw my mother walking her dog when she was a little girl in the same district where I grew up. But my parents were a little different. My mom wanted to be an artist, a dancer, actress. She wanted to see the world. And my dad was this sort of like a creative, crazy guy, life of a party. The party wouldn't start before he showed up. And they had me and my brother very early, before my mom even started studying. She went to the art academy once we were small. So in a way, they were not typical, but also quite typical because they did what a lot of young people did that time. They had kids young, and then soon these relationships broke down. And that's what happened to my parents. So in my generation, most of us are from broken families. And so my letter is reflection on how much I missed my dad, who was very good at disappearing and not being present, and how much I cherish what my daughter has. And I feel so proud of myself that the things that I wished in my childhood, I was able to give her.
So would you read it to us?
Sure. Dear daughter, apart from life, the most special gift that I will ever be able to give you is your dad. I hope you will agree with me one day. You get to sit on his lap every evening. You run towards him and he'll lift you. He looks deeply into your eyes and listens. He gets frantic when you jump like a bunny. You proudly show him the puzzle pieces you solved or a circle you drew. I hear you both giggling over a book. Your father loves us so very much. Having him near is natural to you. You probably think that this is how all little girls grow up. Sometimes you push him away and run to me because you are still so tiny. When it happens, it hurts him, and it hurts me equally. But he's the gift, I tell myself. Sitting on my dad's lap was my wildest dream as a kid. The little everyday moments you have were completely unreachable to me. You cannot make a father stay with a daughter against his will. You also cannot stop a little girl from dreaming about it. Dear daughter, I don't know what it feels like to grow up being as supported as you are. But I bathe in the sunshine and I catch these rays through you. It feels so warm and tingly. After all, you are a little bit of me too. So this is my gift. You don't have to waste your dreams on wishing for someone else's love. You can take a bigger leap. I sometimes imagine you in a space rocket or speaking to university students about microbiology. Honestly, I don't care about what will be written on your name tag. You are already a winner. And you're welcome. Love, your mom.
Thank you so much for reading that to us and sharing it with us. I know it was a gift to your daughter and you've just gone ahead and shared it with so many people. I guess my first question would be, this letter was written because of the way that you grew up and the dynamics within your own family and the experiences that you felt based off of that. So when you were younger and had the family together, so it was your mom and your dad and your brother and yourself, what was that like from what you can remember? What was it like actually having both parents?
It's been a big dream of mine to be able to remember any moments, the four of us, but I don't have any memories of that. I just have glimpses of my dad. I remember once, that's one of my earliest memories. I don't know if it's true or if it happened or it was just a nightmare, but I remember that me and my brother, we always had a hard time of falling asleep. And I know my mom really struggled because of that. And I guess my dad too, because I had this memory of him opening the door and taking the belt of his jeans and lashing it and yelling at us to fall asleep. I don't know if that really happened. I never asked my mom, but could have been. I know that he was good at disappearing and his escape was alcohol. So he would just disappear for days and go off partying and doing the revolution, I guess. So my mom was pretty much left alone, a 20-year-old art student.
What was the revolution? Could you tell me a bit about that? Because I don't think I know much about it.
Yeah, happily. So the Soviet Union was about to crumble. We all felt it. Well, not us, but our parents, grandparents for sure. It was already in the air. People found their way to say what they really think through singing. That was their sort of little loophole. So at some point we had, I believe, every fourth or fifth Estonian was in the same place singing the same national songs together. People used to create this human change, holding hands to express that they wanted to have freedom. So in the middle of all this, my father, who was always seeking for this, attention and fun, he was really creative. He would rap on the stage and, he was flourishing. That was his time of the time of his life. He was really happy.
Yeah. And then the revolution did happen and he left. Is that what happened?
And the system collapsed and suddenly there was nothing to fight for or fight against. And everyone grew up. Everyone around him grew up. And he kind of got stuck in those times. He still wanted to continue partying and wanted to continue annoying the system, but there was no one to annoy. So he found someone else. They had kids. They moved to Finland. But he still kept talking about those 80s, early 90s. Like, he never really truly got over. I don't know. He somehow got stuck in this mentally, I guess.
Did you ever find out why he was stuck or why that time was so important to him?
I didn't ask that directly, I guess, but I feel like he felt important because he had his own baggage. I feel like he felt seen during those times because his own father ignored him completely. And I feel like maybe this gave him some sort of feeling like that he mattered. Someone saw him. I mean, he had his own wounds.
What you've just said is so important, and it makes such a difference in everyone's life, and particularly in a child, to feel seen and to feel seen by people that love you. You just flourish if you know you are seen. And that's why I think it's so beautiful that you see her dad doing this for her, your child's dad doing this for her. You talk about his eyes lighting up and you can see him seeing her, and that's so special. Do you ever remember feeling that way from your dad? I know you don't have too many memories, but do you feel like that's definitely something that you lost out on, feeling seen?
It's not only that. He never asked me how I was. He never called me on my birthday. I write in the letter, my wildest dream was to just be able to sit on his lap. I just so wanted that. I still, when I think about it, I still choke up a bit. Like, why didn't I have that? Or when I see my daughter on her father's lap. So my father died 8 years ago, and I felt like this was the end of the chapter. I can't get any more. I can't ask anymore. I can't try to just make myself seen in any way anymore. That's it. That's the end. But after that, I worked a lot on myself, but I also got help. And I felt good. And meeting my wonderful husband, having my first child, all these things really changed my focus and helped me a lot. And then when my daughter was born, it brought back something else. And you're a mother of a daughter. I don't know if you can relate to that, but for me, when you see a little girl in your arms, it kind of brings some things back, and you start thinking about yourself and how I was a little girl in someone's arms. And I started wondering, was I cared for? How could someone walk away from something so precious? Why? What was wrong with, like these ideas come to your mind that, of course, you're hormonal and all this. You don't really think straight. You haven't slept. And it really broke me. I fell into this depression again.
You had a son first, and then you had your daughter.
Yeah.
So was it definitely different? Because for me, it's completely different feelings. I mean, I had my daughter first, and then I had my son. But I completely understand it. First of all, it completely humanized my own mother, and I was looking at her in a different light and just wondering about all the things she went through. And then it led me to what I'm doing now, because I then wanted to share all these stories and all these things with my own daughter, because I just felt like, oh my gosh, what's her life going to be like? And will I be there? And who's going to talk to her about all these things? And who's going to share? And who's going to think about the things that she doesn't know she needs, So I completely understand, but I'm just wondering if you had the same feelings when you had your son, or is it just for daughters?
Yeah, it completely took me off guard. I didn't expect that. With my son, he was my first child. I tried to just navigate motherhood, just trying to keep it together. There was no much time for anything else. But then when my daughter was born, just deepest, oldest thoughts and memories come to you don't expect. And yeah, it's very different, just like you said.
Yeah, I totally agree. So how did you meet her dad?
I came to Moldova as a journalist to write about what's happening in Moldova. And I interviewed him, as cliche as it is, or maybe it isn't, I don't know. And that interview turned into a love story very quickly. And I fought it because it didn't make sense. I had a great job, a great life back in Estonia. I didn't plan to move to Moldova at all. But the love was there. He's incredible. He's really my other half. And I couldn't give that up, of course. We were in a relationship for about a year when we flew to each other's countries, but that's kind of exhausting and expensive. And so I had this brilliant idea. I thought, well, if we can't decide who's going to move where, then why don't we just have a baby, and that's going to force us to decide.
That will tip the scales.
Yeah. So, and 11 months later, I was in Moldova.
Have you ever had this theory that you end up marrying your dad? So you end up marrying
Yes.
someone who is very, very similar
Absolutely.
to your dad. So did you ever have those worries when you were thinking about getting married to your husband?
I had worries, yes, because he is very similar to my dad. He is.
Really?
It's scary. It's scary. I don't know. And as the time passes, I see it more and more. But he doesn't disappear. He doesn't have a drinking problem, and he's really there. But he has all the good qualities that my dad used to have. He's the revolutionary guy, but in Moldova, he was doing the revolution here successfully, I might say. He's fun. He's also, he can be the life of a party. He's the silly guy. I mean, he has all the best sides of my dad. But first, yes, I was afraid that, when we would go to a party and I would secretly look how much he's drinking, making sure I don't want to make the same mistake that my mom did. But I think I just got incredibly lucky. We both did.
But I think you're right, because that theory is a very negative theory. It assumes that the person is taking the worst of your dad and they could be taking the best.
Yeah.
So it's a really positive way to look at it.
I must say that when I did move here, things were a little bit different because he was at that time a bit like a typical local dad who sort of says bye to his family, takes off, and then wanders back whenever he feels like it. And I soon made it clear that that's not going to work with me because that's not okay. And now he's really 100% here. We are truly partners. And he calls himself a feminist now. So he's wonderful.
So how do you plan to talk to your daughter about some of these things, like the importance or the value of having a dad, or for her to appreciate the type of dad that she has?
Oh, that's such a tough question. I haven't thought about it.
You can think about it now.
God. Oh my God.
You got some time though.
You're
You do have
scaring
time.
me.
No, it's
Oh.
a good thing, because you don't want her to, waste away or not see what she has. Because I also hear sometimes that we all have issues that stem from our fathers, right? So
I think I never heard anyone go through a therapy because their father or mother paid too much attention to them or showed them too much love. So I kind of believe that, because their question made me think about, maybe she's gonna grow up in this bubble of love, and maybe she's gonna have other issues because of it.
oh no,
Like maybe it's,
no, I don't. Think
I don't
she's
know.
Gonna have
So I was
issues.
thinking, you
No.
can't, because I think it's a wonderful worry to have.
And what do you plan to tell your daughter in the future about her grandfather?
Oh, that's such a tough one. I try to speak to my son about him. I mean, I will tell the truth about why he died, about his addictions. But I also will share all these beautiful stories that I know about him, that he told me. I don't want her to delete this side of, like I tried for some time. I think there is still a lot to be proud of, even with a lot of mistakes that were done along the way by him.
From the beginning of my conversation with Marian, I love how she sees the value in small things, in perhaps not having a huge birthday party for her daughter and having time to spend with her instead. I really think with our kids that we have to pay attention to the small things, the little things that they'll remember and will have a lasting impact on them. So I'm really glad that Marian shared this letter with us. It's been a gift not just to her daughter, but to me too, just to remind me that I want to be intentional with my kids and I want to be present, because I feel like those are the things that they will never, ever forget. Next on the show, I'm talking to best-selling author Isabel Allende. She's famous for writing the books House of the Spirits and City of the Beasts. And she's coming onto the show to talk about the letters she wrote to her daughter when she was in a coma.
I was told that people who are in a coma for some time, that when they wake up, they have these big parts of memory that are lost. So I thought I need to remind her where she comes from, who she is, what is her country, her husband, who am I, and everybody else.
I'm so excited to be back for season 2. I'm really looking forward to sharing some of the incredible letters we've got coming up. And I want to get more and more people to help us create this handbook to life. So please spread the word. Tell everyone you know about Dear Daughter. Show them where to find it, how to download it, and how to follow or subscribe. And leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. Dear Daughter is presented by me, Namulanta Kombo, and produced by me and Lucy Burns with support from Charlotte MacDonald and Maggie Karanja. The editor is Claire Fordham. Mixed by Neil Churchill. Theme music composed by Justin Nichols. Prabjit Bains is the BBC World Service podcast producer, and John Manell is the podcast commissioning editor. See you next time.